Good evening from London, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling, insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. For those of you guys who follow us on Twitter, yesterday we did an Instagram post, a Select Your Scenario Instagram post where we presented 4 possible options for who could be the next AEW champion. Those 4 options were 1, Jay White, 2, Adam Cole, 3, Darby Allin, and 4, Adam Copeland. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar about these posts, we do them all the time. We pick a couple of, obvious options, then a wild card, and then a really wild card from there as well. In this case, the real wild card was Adam Copeland, right? But anyway, we posted this, and the caption is always, which of these 4 scenarios do you want to pick? Very easy question, right? You gotta pick 1 out of 4 scenarios. Very easy. Well, AEW Champion MJF called us out. Eyebow of WrestlePurist, who goes by @BackupHangman on Instagram, decided to not answer the very simple question of which of these 4 scenarios would you pick, and instead said none of the above, based on the @BackupHangman username there. I can only presume that this is Hangman Page's burner account, and in his free time he writes for WrestlePurists. But anyway, from there, MJF, he tweeted, and he said, easy, MJF retains Triple B until retirement. There's 4 scenarios! It's not hard! It should be easy! MJF is not an option, MJF! Come on now, you're meant to be the AEW champion, you claim to be smart. It literally says, which of these 4 scenarios would you pick? And you picked yourself, which wasn't even an option, and you already are the champion, so how are you meant to be the next champion? MJF, we're coming for you. And Hangman Page, your backup account, it's on site. But also, I have another conspiracy theory from this, and that, of course, is, this is clearly Hangman's backup Twitter page. So I can only think that because of his affiliation with MJF now on Twitter, that MJF is actually the guy wearing the devil mask. But we will have to wait and see. But no, in all seriousness, a lot of fun on Twitter yesterday. That post went crazy online. Thank you to everybody who did interact with the post, even if you couldn't answer the simple question. Shout out to Bobby Petito, though, who could answer the very simple question, and he picked Jay White. But now it's time to introduce the panel for today's show. Firstly, the co-host of the show, Clark Taylor. Clark, how are things, and how have you enjoyed our 5 minutes of fame over on the Elon Musk's Bird app?
I'm doing really well, and to be totally honest with you, I actually agree with MJF that he's gonna carry the belt until retirement, and it's none of the 4 options. So, I mean, I hate to say that.
It's not a prediction post. It's buddies, which of the 4 options would you prefer? I
saw where all the lines met, there was like a small image of MJF that I pictured myself. And so I'm going to go with that option. If you look really closely long enough, you'll see his image start to appear actually over all 4 images. It's an optical illusion, Ben. I don't know if you noticed that one, but yeah, no, I've got Max for sure, retaining forever. I think he's the best in the business. And of course he tweets and addresses our post in his own way, doesn't have to follow the rules, never has. And that's who MJF is. I appreciate it. I love it.
I don't. I'm fuming. But also joining us, we have the man known as Carter Crisp. Carter, how are you today?
I'm doing good, and we have found some great disagreements with our co-host over there, Mr. Taylor Clark. I have to warn you about the Bang Bang Gang. Mr. Jay White, not only is he going to win in the poll, his boy might win tonight. And am I getting ahead of stuff too early? I don't know. I love the Bullet Club Gold gang, and I think MJF's awesome, but it might be time for that title to move around a little bit, Mr. Maxwell. But I'm not saying that. I'm not suggesting that. No need to tweet at me, but happy to be here.
Absolutely. And also joining us, we have Josh Markowitz. Josh, how are you today?
What's going on, Ben? I'm doing great. No complaints at all. We're talking about AEW Dynamite. I'm going to be there tonight live in Philadelphia, so I am ecstatic to talk Dynamite tonight. Or right now, we have a lot to cover, a lot of great matches, stacked card. Not sure how they're going to fit this in this 2-hour time slot they got, but I'm ready to go. Let's talk about it.
As if I couldn't get even more annoyed. Number one, Superfly's just commented I would pick MJF.
Same.
There's only 4 options!
We've lost Ben.
Does
but
the Bullet Club Gold still have the belt too, physically?
hold on, guys. Let's just say hypothetically there was a 5th option.
There isn't.
Let's just say hypothetically though. And that 5th option was MJF. Then what would you pick, Ben?
Well, not MJF, because if the question is out of these 4 or these 5 in your scenario, which is the next AEW champion, well, unless MJF gets injured, vacates the belt, recovers in time to join the tournament for the new belt, and wins that, that's the only way in which he can be the next champion. And what are the odds of that happening?
One more hypothetical. What if, and let's just say alternate universe this is, right? There's only one option, and it's MJF retains. Then who do you pick, Ben?
Who's going to be the next AEW champion?
And the only option is MJF retains.
Well, in the words of Hangman Page's backup account, none of the above.
It's an alternate
Let's now
universe.
get right into it. And let's talk about MJF. Right, let's get right into him. Because, he's now enemy number 1 of the page. But tonight he is facing Juice Robinson for the Dynamite Diamond Ring. Now, of course, MJF has won this every single year. It's a key part of his character, but it's also a key part of what makes him a heel, right? That ring is how he's cheated over and over and over again. So maybe, just maybe, out of all the times when he's put this ring on the line, maybe tonight is the most likely possibility that perhaps he could lose the ring and Juice Robinson could win it. I'm going to be honest, it's not too long now until he faces Jay White at Full Gear, so I don't think Juice is winning. I'm going for MJF retaining, but Clark, give me your take on this one.
Max retains for sure. I mean, there's no reason to stop Max right now, especially until we find out who's behind that mask. I don't see him losing. I would love to find that out tonight. That would be really interesting to me, but no question in my mind does MJF retain, and not only that, he uses the Dynamite Diamond Ring to do so.
Ooh.
I think that's how this goes.
Puts it on the line and wins with it. Oh, that is a very cheeky heel move there. Bobby Petito does agree with you, and Cool Gamer says hi, Cool Gamer. Welcome to the chat. And Carter Crisp, what about you? Do you think MJF, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, will retain his prestigious Dynamite Diamond Ring, his treasured Dynamite Diamond Ring tonight on AEW TV?
This is a good week for debates with Clark. I'm going Bang Bang Gang again. I mean, MJF's a heel, but who's a bigger heel than the Bullet Club Gold? Juice Robinson looks like the Honeycomb Crunch guy. He's terrifying. I think they have more numbers, more shenanigans. I know MJF follows the tradition, but I'm gonna go full kayfabe, if I can say that. I don't know if I was supposed to say that, but I'm gonna go all in on this. I'm gonna go with Juice Robinson taking the ring, and then eventually Jay White taking the belt. I'm going. Sorry, Clark. I don't know which side you're on, but I'm all in on the Bang Bang Gang. I want to get a Bullet Club Gold shirt.
Josh just caught some strays unnecessarily there.
He did. That seems unfair to Josh.
Sorry, Josh.
But, I mean, who knows? Maybe Bullet Club Gold, maybe Juice Robinson will get that W tonight. But what do you think, Josh? Do you think we could see this Dynamite Diamond ring change hands?
100%. I'm gonna agree with Carter here. Look, I'm a fan of Juice Robinson. I like his character because of how annoying he is. That's what makes him so good, because he is so annoying. I just, I always just want to see him off my TV at all times. But I think that's why I like him so much. It's kind of confusing. But look, the match isn't for the championship belt; it's for the diamond ring. And you're right, Ben, when you said the diamond ring makes up so much of his character. He's used it so many times to cheat. But what I would like to see is maybe Juice Robinson taking that ring from ringside and using it to cheat against MJF and then winning that ring. We know that the Bullet Club Gold physically has that AEW Championship belt. Jay White is holding on to it, even though it's not his. And if we saw Jay White with the physical belt, and then we see Juice Robinson with the ring, which he didn't rightfully win, then it's kind of like a Full Gear was seeing MJF kind of fight for everything. He's fighting for this championship belt that he's holding, but technically he doesn't physically have. But, if we could see maybe Juice Robinson cheat his way to win with that diamond ring, something that MJF usually does himself, and it happens against him, then I feel like that would really nicely build that angle towards this main event AEW World Championship match against MJF and Jay White. And I would love to see kind of Juice Robinson steal this kind of match and steal the ring physically.
I really, really do like that idea, Josh. Having MJF feel like he's fighting for everything. He's fighting against the odds, even though he actually is the champion. I mean, that's something where if you pull that off, it's a great move for the babyface. And of course, MJF is the babyface of all babyfaces right now. They're doing every trick in the book to get him over, whether you like it or you don't. But we'll now have to move on to the next topic, and one which is rather interesting, to be honest with you. And that is, what is Tony Khan gifting Sting? Because of course they've been hyping up over the last week now about the possibility of about Tony Khan gifting Sting something historic, something that's never been seen before. And it's something which, they've really been hyping up, but what could it be? Very rarely am I just clueless about what it can be, but it's obviously something big because of all the hype for it. Tony Schiavone said on the Control Center today, the AEW Control Center, that it was something historic and never done before in wrestling. I'm like, they're hyping this up bigger than some of the talent announcements. What could this possibly be? Clark, do you have any idea?
Okay, so I'm kind of in the same boat as you, but I at least did try to spin the wheels and really think about what it could be. My initial instinct before it really built to what it is now was this is when really good athletes go kind of on their retirement tour. Sometimes, at least in baseball, especially, the other organizations will give you a gift in your last away game there. So for example, Mariano Rivera, one of the coolest ones I ever saw, was known as a closing pitcher for breaking the opposing team's bats. And the Minnesota Twins gifted him a rocking chair made of broken bats that he had broke during his career. And it was cool. I thought it would be something like that, like a, funny, rocking chair of bats, right? Sting obviously is known for the bat. It's got to be bigger than that. And I don't know what it is. Another guess I kind of had is some kind of a legacy world championship, or maybe even being the inaugural induction into an AEW Hall of Fame. That's my best guess. Never been done before, new, some sort of recognizing everything he did for the business, and he starts what is the AEW Hall of Fame that would be never been done before-ish, right? Where you have kind of a face of the Hall of Fame. Maybe they named the AEW Hall of Fame like the Sting Hall of champions or whatever you want to call it, right? They don't necessarily call it Hall of Fame. Something of that effect, just to honor him for everything he's given to this business over 40 plus years, basically. And whatever it is, I hope it doesn't flop because of how hyped it's been. And I hope it truly honors Sting. I hope this isn't Angle related. And I don't mean that like Kurt Angle. I mean, I hope this isn't like the start of an angle. I hope it is to truly honor Sting on the way towards his retirement match. It seems too telegraphed to me if this turns into a weird, it gets ruined or whatever it is, right? I hope this is a cool segment that the fans, especially the hardcore fans and people that grew up diehard Sting fans, get to enjoy and remember and go like, that was really cool that they did that. Similar almost to the way, Undertaker did his iconic entrance. Of course, wish there were fans, but right at Survivor Series, like and came out, and that was just special, right? It not that exact thing because it's not the same scenario, but something, memorable that as a Sting fan, you can go like, that was cool that they did that for Sting. Like, there's a lot of stuff with Derek Jeter when he was, on his way out, retiring, Ben Roethlisberger as well for like the Steelers. A lot of athletes have kind of seen the Kobe Bryant, the retirement tour, where, they really get honored for their accomplishments, and Sting deserves that as much as anybody that's ever stepped foot in a ring.
Yeah. I mean, I'd really like it to be something like a retirement tour or something like that Tony Khan, if he did say something like that. But what I really don't want it to be is like the Hall of Fame, like you suggested it might be. We've got too many Hall of Fames in wrestling already. There's like 4 or 5 major ones now already, and I'm like, come on, like, let's be real about it. There's only one which matters, and that's WWE's. I mean, maybe you can argue some of the other existing ones, Pro Wrestling Illustrated's, because that can, that combines wrestlers from all over the globe. But AEW don't need to do one. I mean, Impact have done one, and that's about as pointless as anything.
Okay, wait, I do have one more idea though now.
Yeah.
What about a lifetime contract? That'd be pretty cool.
Isn't that the exact same thing people hate on WWE for doing?
No, they do Legends deals, not lifetime
Yeah, but then
deals.
people hate on the when they do multi-year Legends deals, because then it
but that's like kind of like what Nike did with LeBron. Like, you'll always be a part of the family. Like that.
Right,
That's the way I would look at that, right? Like, you have a lifetime deal. You'll always be a part of AEW for that.
I like that.
Right?
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea, especially because they said never been done.
Yeah.
That's the tricky part for me. That's why the never been done. I thought like making it like the Sting Hall of Champions instead of calling it a Hall of Fame might be like a way to, just honor, right? Like once a year at AEW, they don't have to do the same thing that WWE does and like do an induction ceremony or whatever, right? But like honoring big matches or champions the way the UFC kind of does, where it's less formal. Right now the UFC one's become like the WWE one, but initially it would just be the announcement of like, this all-time match is in the UFC. You know what I mean? Before it actually got built up, something like that to like honor the big ones, but name it after Sting.
Yeah.
Right? That would make sense to me.
To name something after Sting, I think would be nice. Another good shout, which I think it could be, but it just doesn't fit in with what Tony Schiavone said on the Control Center today, is what number one Superfly is saying, and that is maybe Tony Khan gives Sting one of Tony Khan's most prized collectibles of Sting that Tony Khan treasured his entire life or something like that. That's what I thought it was going to be when it was announced, but now it's like, that's not really like never been done before.
But yeah, isn't that the famous, they gave Flair his robe at his thing, right? Like, didn't they just do that? Is the only problem, right? That's the only thing that throws that. It's a great theory. It's just,
it's not. But even then, I saw like they've given like WWE did an entire show on getting collectibles back.
Treasures, yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder. Man, it could be anything. It really could be anything.
It's the weirdest one of these like Tony Khan announcements that I think we've seen to date, and I think that makes it quite interesting. I'm intrigued to see it, but it's like, what could it be? Like, I have no clue what whatsoever. But we're gonna have to just wait and find out.
What if it is like a legacy world championship? So he's recognized as an AEW world champion, even though he never won it. That would be never been done before.
You maybe. I don't know how
he's recognized as a former. I don't know how I feel about it either, but that just isn't that right. I've never seen that one.
Yeah,
like they give him his own title. You can sell it in the shop. I mean, so double whammy, right?
True.
You give him his own title design, and he's recognized as an AEW world champion from here to eternity. He gets to add that to his resume. That, and I don't think there would be some complaints, I think, online I don't know if there's
Yeah.
anyone in the locker room that would be like, Sting doesn't deserve that. Like,
It's not that he
It's
doesn't
Sting.
deserve it. He undoubtedly deserves it, but it's like if he deserves it, then there's quite a few other people who
True.
deserve it too.
True.
Like,
Oh,
you
yeah.
get into a spiral, and then you're like, well, are we just handing out AEW Championship
Scott
shit?
Hall. I mean, like, I think of like even in other companies, like best to never win a world title. Scott Hall, Mr. Perfect, guys like that to be able to add something like that to their resume would be. But then again, you're just padding stats in that case. That goes back to like the how many world titles does Charlotte Flair have type of argument.
It does.
Like,
It
where you're like,
really, really does.
you know what I'm saying? It just it muddies the waters, but I wouldn't hate it.
Maybe that's what they do
Necessarily
instead of
because
a
it's
Hall
Sting.
of Fame. They say that, you
Yeah.
know, to all the legends, they say you're now a former AEW champion and you're on the former AEW champions list. Maybe
Yeah, or-
that's the Hall of Fame.
Call it like a legacy title. You get the legacy title, right? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's technically separate
You're a
from
legacy champion.
Yeah,
You know?
it's technically separate from the lineage of the actual world title. But like,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's the move. But it's at the same time, it's like it's just so random. It's so random to do it
It is.
now, a few months before he retires. It's like I just don't know what it could. I have a feeling it's an angle. But I don't know. We're gonna have to just wait and see, aren't we? But now let's move on, because in case you guys have forgotten, because many people have, Hangman Page and the Young Bucks are currently the ROH World Six-Man Tag Team Champions. This is something which I think pretty much everybody's forgotten. As far as I know, they've not appeared on Ring of Honor TV, despite, you know, the fact they're holding the belts, which is just weird in itself. And yeah, but they're gonna face Jeff and Matt Hardy tonight, along with Brother Zay. Of course, you know, who was formerly in what were they called? Private Party, who haven't really cheered from in a while. I think injuries has kind of halted them a little bit. But at the start of AEW, they were meant to be like the next big tag team when they kind of just got, you know, hidden in Matt Hardy's shadow for their entire run. And that's something which I just don't think is, you know, really been talked about at all. I mean, Matt Hardy, like, he obviously was trying to put over Private Party, but because of injuries and, you know, some of the not so great gimmicks at times, they basically kind of got lost in his shadow at this point, which is kind of sad to see. But tonight, Brother Zay will be teaming up with the Hardy Boys to take on Young Bucks and Hangman Adam Page for the ROH Six-Man Tag Team Championships. Now, there's also a little bit of an interesting sprinkle to put on this, and that is that it's also been announced that Swerve will address Hangman tonight. However, Swerve to the app formerly known as Twitter, now known as X, to say, hey, we decided to take a detour and we're not going to Dynamite tonight. And then they showed it where he was going, and apparently he's going to where Hangman lives. So the big thing on speculation on social media is you know, Swerve going to show up in Hangman's house. Is that the angle they're doing? Are they running back Samoa Joe and AJ Styles from a few years ago? Josh, what do you think heading into this one? Could we see those ROH Six-Man Tag Team Championship belts switch hands tonight?
I don't think so. You know, first off, you're definitely right. I think a lot of people had forgot about the Bucks and Hangman holding these belts, and I actually am like happy that they're putting this match on Dynamite, because I think this is a good way to, you know, like refuel that fire under ROH and the belts, maybe just to even remind people like, oh, they got the belts. But I mean, look, the match itself should be an entertaining one on paper. These six men are incredibly talented, and yeah, I don't think the Bucks and Hangman have done. I think this will be their first title defense. I think they won it on Rampage Grand Slam, and I don't think they've defended it since. So this should be their first defense. So hoping for a good match. I think they're going to retain, and you know, I think they're going to win it pretty easily. But then again, look, we got the Hardys. We're in Philly. Jeff Hardy, the King of Extreme. You know, Philadelphia, the home of ECW. And, you know, I know we got Rob Van Dam on the card, which only makes sense in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
But Jeff Hardy, King of Extreme, Jeff, I know those bumps are catching up to you now. Can we just get one more Swanton bomb through a table tonight? Please, just something like that would be awesome. Anyways, now talking to you guys, not Jeff. But looking forward to this match. It should be a fun one for the ROH title. And regarding Swerve, I actually didn't see that, so that's the first time I'm hearing about this now, what you just mentioned, Ben. And I think we could see interference potentially. I don't see the interference leading to them losing the belts or anything of that sort, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a interference or maybe like one of those video packages of him inside Hangman's house, like during the match to sort of distract Hangman from the match. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this match. Should be an entertaining one, I hope.
And we've got a great comment here as well, right? We
I've
got a
got an
comment
idea too.
from, I'll get to you, Clark. I can see you. But we got a comment from Number One Superfly saying, I kind of want Swerve to drink a soda in Hangman's house on Hangman's chair and just shout out, "This is Swerve's house." I mean, that would be absolutely hilarious. And then you could just have Prince Nana like dancing in the background too.
Oh, yeah.
Book me in for that. But Clark, what's your idea?
I think Swerve's even more sadistic than going to his house. I think he goes to the stables and messes with his horse. We've already seen him go to people's house and go into where he trained him. I think he goes and does whatever, maybe paints something on the horse, doesn't do anything, doesn't hurt the animal. Doesn't hurt the animal.
Alive anymore.
They're gonna do. It doesn't matter. You can have a new horse.
They
right?
did like a big tribute to the horse.
Of course. So he's got a new colt and he goes and messes with it. He's going to the stables. That's the move, because that is, like you said, how much his horse is always meant to him. He's a horse rider. That's where he goes. We've seen guys go to someone's house. We've seen him go to, we've seen him go to Nick Wayne's training ring.
That's true.
Whatnot. Go into the stables to mess with Hangman's new colt, whatever, right? His horse, his pride and joy. The cowboy and the horse relationship is close. That would bug him so much. And the reaction, Hangman's really good in those type of spots. I think his reaction to that over the in the house thing both would be great, but I think that one just fits the Hangman, the cowboy character. Like, you do not mess with my horse or horses, whatever it may be, his animals.
I think what he needs to do is he needs to go in. He needs to do exactly what Number One Superfly said. Stand up, Prince Nana and Swerve just go grab all Hangman's beer and just tip it all over.
Oh, that would be funny, actually. Although he's kind of gotten away from the beer thing lately, it seems like.
Yeah,
he's not been as big of a beer drinker because, well, remember, he was the anxious millennial cowboy, so like it was the anxiety that was causing him to drink so much.
Yeah, and that was, I mean, it was great. Let's be real, it was a fantastic character. But I mean, this Swerve feud is meant to bring that Hangman back, bring an interesting version of Hangman back, and it kind of did for a few weeks, and then since the pay-per-view, well, just kind of nothing's happened. So hopefully this reignites the flame tonight. I'm looking forward to this purely, to be honest with you, to see what Swerve's doing, because him, doing that tweet and AEW reposting it, there's clearly something going on, and I like that in wrestling a bit as well, where they blur the lines of kayfabe and reality. And yeah, I'm certainly looking forward to that one. But
such a good storyline.
It is. It really, really is. And now let's talk about something else which I'm looking forward to. The AEW Women's World Championship. It's on the line again today. Hikaru Shida defending against Ruby Soho. Of course, on NXT Halloween Havoc last night. By the way, if you haven't seen, our review of that, we now have a review every week by Austin Knight on WrestlingRepublic.com. But also, of course, immediately following NXT every week, you can watch wrestling off the air. Definitely check that out with Clark, Shard, and Drizzy every single Tuesday night. Tuesday night, yeah, it is
7:15 Pacific, 10:15 in the East. That's 9:15 Central. Dead in the middle of the night in the UK.
Yeah,
and 4:15 Hawaiian.
3:15 in the morning if anybody's awake at that time. Maybe you've woken up, you needed to go to the toilet, you can't get back to sleep. Wrestling off the air.
8:15 Mountain.
But anyway, last night on Halloween Havoc, there was a lot of women's wrestling, and it showed, how women's wrestling should be showcased. There's zero excuses for it to not be showcased like that. I mean, it's beyond obvious that women can do it as good as the men at this point. It's like that argument, went out the window like at least a decade ago, and even then it was only idiots who actually thought that. But listen, women need to be getting more TV time on AEW TV. It's a no-brainer, but tonight, the AEW Women's Championship will be defended. Shida versus Ruby Soho. They're kind of hot potato in this title at the minute, and I just have a weird feeling Ruby Soho's going to win it, and then they're going to do Ruby Soho versus Toni Storm, and then Toni Storm's going to win that. I think the hot potato is going to get a little worse, unfortunately, before it gets better. But Carter, what do you think heading into this one?
Oh, I like that bet. So I'm going to speculate wildly. So these opinions are all my own. I do think that Hikaru Shida is going to retain. I agree. I think that they kind of wanted Saraya to keep the title a little longer. And I think the health issues came up. This is me just wildly speculating. So they are kind of hot potatoing the title. But I have a crazy hot take fresh off the oven that may or may not be true. And I'm going to say it right now. I think Mariah May from Stardom has signed with AEW. And I think she's going to start a stable with Toni Storm. And I think that is where the title ends up. So I think the title is a little bit in limbo. I do think Shida is going to retain, but I think this is actually an example of great. This is a decent women's booking. I think this is going to be a rock solid match. You have two very good technical wrestlers, kind of the top of the women's division in AEW. There is a story there. So, as much as we may like to, kind of criticize lack of story in women's booking, I think all things considered, this is pretty good. But this is my opinion, not the Republic's opinion. I think Mariah May is coming in. She's coming in hot. She's snake pit trained. She's a real catch wrestler. I think she's coming in. She's going to start at the stable with Tony, and that stable is going to start causing some trouble. But again, my opinion, no one else's.
I mean, that is certainly, an interesting take. I mean, she's great. I'd like to see that. I've been a fan of Mariah May for years. I used to talk to her all the time when she was first starting out. Because originally she was just kind of in the internet wrestling community with all of us, really, in the early days of Wrestling Republic. She'd be commenting on our posts, in some of our group chats and all of that good stuff. And then, of course, in the end, she obviously started becoming a wrestler, and she's had great success in Japan. So whatever's next for her, I'm just fascinated to see it, because she very much deserves it. She's been working very, very hard the last few years. And of course, yesterday she posted to her social media, and she was working out in slippers, saying, "This is how chaotic my life is at the minute." And that could, maybe that could be taken as she's moved. Who knows? But now, I possibly could see that happening. We'll have to wait and see what is next. We do have a comment, and that is from Bobby Petito saying Hikaru Shida should retain her title, and I think Serena Deeb returns and confronts Hikaru Shida. Count me in for that. I would certainly love that one. But now let's move on. And let's move on to what I presume will be the main event match. And that is Bryan Danielson and Claudio Castagnoli of the BCC, the Blackpool Combat Club, teaming up to take on Orange Cassidy and Kazuchika Okada. This one I'm excited for, right? But I do have a complaint off the bat. This match, Kazuchika Okada on AEW Dynamite, that should be a big deal. Yes, he's not going to be some huge draw, but to the hardcore fan, that's a big deal. They should have announced this last Wednesday. Because yes, I know what I just said, that, it's the hardcore fans who are interested in Kazuchika Okada. But at the same time, I think most hardcore fans aren't even watching Battle of the Belts anymore. Why are you announcing this on Battle of the Belts, which did, not a great viewership? This should have been announced on Dynamite last week. It felt like, this was my issue with Battle of the Belts on Saturday. It felt like they were just announcing tons of stuff that shouldn't have been announced on there because not enough people were watching it. It's like you announce things where, you get the most eyes, so then, more people will take their eyes from there to the next place. In this case, the next week on AEW Dynamite. That's my big complaint on that one. But as an actual match, Orange Cassidy, Kazuchika Okada teaming up, weirdest team ever, to face off against Bryan Danielson and Claudio Castagnoli. I'm down. Of course, we know Okada has a connection with the Best Friends. They're technically in Chaos's faction, although that, I think, is the lightest affiliation ever. But Oh, wait a second. No, what? Carter's unfortunately left the stream. I was about to pass it to him, but his long lost brother, his cousin, Carty Carnett, has joined.
I'm
Carty,
here.
what are your thoughts?
Let me tell you something. I'm surprised a man who works as hard as Okada is willing to partner with such a casual gentleman as Mr. Pockets Orange Cassidy. Now, Orange Cassidy, you must remember, if you want to win a G1 climax, you got to take your hands out of your pockets, sir. Now, I know we have 3 out of 4 hard workers, real wrestlers in the ring. Thank goodness that belt is off John the Plumber, though, because that was a disgrace. He was bleeding all over everything. But you know what? I think this is going to be pretty good wrestling. I think this is going to be real wrestling. You got Bryan Danielson. You got the Blackpool Combat Club. There is no John the Plumber. Pockets, for all he can do, he is not going to junk it up. I think we got a great wrestling match on our hands thanks to Mr. Okada. Welcome to the US of A. But that being said, Pockets, you be careful in that ring with Mr. Okada. He works very hard, and he does not take things so casually, such as you.
I mean, I'm kind of surprised that Carty Cornett's actually a fan of Kazuchika Okada. In all honesty, Carty.
I thought Carnett had an issue with Okada as well. I never remembered you being such a fan, but I love the appreciation.
Yeah,
it's nice to see.
I mean, as long as I know my brother was going to buy a koi fish earlier and name him after Twinkle Toes. You know, anyone who wrestles Twinkle Toes is a friend of Mr. Carnett. So, you know, as long as he's not out there hanging out with the Buckaroos, he's all right in my book.
I mean, that's certainly a take. I mean, Josh, what about you? What are your
Talk
thoughts?
about a coin drop.
Oh man, following that response is like following Shawn Michaels and Undertaker at WrestleMania 25.
That was cold.
I'm trying to process this match still because like Okada on Dynamite is like the most shocking news I've heard in a while. Like I read it out of nowhere and it was just like, what is going on? But anyways, I'm grateful for it. I'm going to be there live to see him. Didn't pay that much money, whatever. I'm excited. For the match itself, we haven't seen him on AEW since Forbidden Door, I think. He lost to Danielson. So I guess Okada was a fitting partner for Cassidy technically because of this Danielson-Okada thing that they had going on. Still very odd pairing between them, but I'm not going to complain. It's awesome to see him on Dynamite and AEW television itself. You know, he's the X factor for this match, I think, is going to be Jon Moxley. He's not involved in the actual match, but you know, we know that he was the international champion, and then he lost to Phoenix, and then Phoenix lost to Cassidy. So now, like, we're kind of in this loop here with this international championship drama, where now we're at the point where Cassidy has the belt, and I feel like we're going to see a Cassidy and Moxley match again. So I hope that maybe we see a Jon Moxley interference, whether that's after the match or whether he's helping his team win the match or it's like a post-match beat up or something like that. I feel like that's going to happen, to be honest, at some point in the match, before the match, after the match. But regardless of what happens before or after, during the match, it goes without saying this is a pay-per-view level match and we're getting to watch it for free on AEW television. So I feel like this is sort of a gift from Tony Khan. Tony, thank you very much. We all appreciate it. And I don't have any doubts that this match is going to deliver. It should be match of the night. It should be the main event of the Dynamite episode and maybe one of the better Dynamite matches of the year. So I guess we'll just have to see how it goes.
Big hype for that, Josh. Big hype. But I could not agree with you more. You know, I never thought we'd see Kazuchika Okada wrestling on, TBS, in a match like this against. I never thought I'd see, Okada and Danielson in the same ring until earlier this year, of course, at Forbidden Door. And now it's such a random match, but it's like, I'm not complaining because, it's fun. But something which is not fun is this comment. We got Daniel Price in the chat.
This is so fun. I would like to address this one.
How does a man eviscerate himself?
Let me read it out
read the comment
first. To our audio-only listeners, right? Daniel Price is saying that is a terrible Cornette. I've never heard of Cornette. Who's he?
Yeah, this is
Impression.
Cornette.
He
Different
may not be right on all his takes, but he is right about a lot.
Real
I
red.
know it hurts a lot of you when he's honest. P.S. Cornette would eviscerate you badly. I can only presume you meant to spell Cornette with an A. I don't know
By
who
the way,
Cornette is.
I know it hurts a lot of you. Sounds like someone who was just hurt. I'm just saying.
I mean, these
Not
boys don't like to hear
Hot
about
corn on
real
the kettle black? Maybe.
I mean, Carty, what do you... Somebody's clearly claiming identity fraud or something against you. I mean...
Oh, I'm a big fan of whoever this Jim Cornette guy is.
I'm here to
know where
let
you
all
got
you
Jim
know what real wrestling looks like and whether or not it hurts your feelings, the commenters' feelings. He knows I'm right. You all know I'm right. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm on the internet, because the world wants real wrestling. And you know what? Tonight, the world's going to get some real wrestling. Mr. Okada, welcome to America.
And Daniel Price is doubling down, saying Cassidy is a clown shoes gimmick. Absolute
cute.
clown shoes. Well, Carty, you agree with that, so at least you and Daniel Price have some common ground. I reckon we get you guys a show together.
Me and Mr. Price, we are hand in hand. We know and I don't know what he's saying about me, eviscerated myself. What's going on there? I am Mr. Cornette, so that's a little crazy. But that being said, you know, I know it's controversial to tell people what real wrestling looks like. I know they love these outlaw mud shows, but you know what? Someone has to do the hard work.
And someone's got to be a big fan of whoever that guy is he keeps talking about in the comments.
I don't know.
Never heard of him in my entire life.
I mean, I can only presume that the guy's obviously seen a reel of Carty Cornette
Is he talking
before.
about the tennis
and it's
guy?
no. Do you know what it is? I figured it out. I know what it is. I figured it out, guys. Right?
He's talking about the
Carty.
tennis guy.
He's seen a Carty Cornette reel before, right? And he hasn't recognized Carty because he's wearing a different scarf today.
It is. He changed the
Brand
scarves.
new.
Changed
Very new.
scarves.
Oh, of course.
I think
Makes
the guy
sense
he's
now.
talking about though is he's the tennis player, the tennis guy.
Tennis.
Dude, Jim Cornette, he's the tennis racket guy, right? He plays tennis.
He's whacked.
Right.
He's
Jim
whacked.
Cornette? I would love
I've
to be
never-
verbally
I got you, Clark. I
eviscerated
got
by
you.
whoever that guy is. Yeah, he's the tennis guy. Roger Federer.
Oh, sorry. Of course. Yeah. I
Big-
remember this. Of course. I
big
used to
guy.
watch his tennis matches all the time back in the day.
Big tennis guy.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Totally.
But Clark, what do you think very quickly on this match, this main event match on Dynamite?
Well, I don't want to get verbally eviscerated by whoever that guy is, but what I will say is that I like pockets. Okay. I think Orange Cassidy's excellent, but he's totally in this match to take the pinfall. You're setting up for Bryan Danielson versus Okada. I totally get that, but let's knock it off. I mean, I'm whoever that guy is, I don't want to get eviscerated by, but despite that, Cassidy had arguably the best title reign this year of anyone with the international title. Nothing short of delightful. I feel like you're the captain of the No Fun Club if you can't find enjoyment in a dude that told a great story after taking so much heat for being the guy that does put his hands in his pockets and tried something and leaned deep into a gimmick. He then went and carried that belt in a backpack for months on end, wrestled as an absolute workhorse, put on outstanding matches throughout the run, elevated not only himself, but the belt as well. Orange Cassidy's awesome, but he will take the fall tonight, likely in my eyes, to Bryan Danielson.
I mean, honestly, I actually find that one hard to disagree with as well. We know Danielson, apart from that loss to Christian Cage, is on a big win streak at the minute. Here's the thing, though. Danielson, Okada, I think they're heading towards a rematch. I think Danielson might take the pin here. And I think it might be by Okada. And I think this is going to lead to Okada Danielson. Not a Full Gear. Not at whatever the December pay-per-view they end up doing if they do one is. But at January 4th at Wrestle Kingdom, the Tokyo Dome. I said it months ago. I don't think there's really a clear direction for Okada there right now. This is the direction that I want. Danielson, Okada, once again in the Tokyo Dome with the Japanese crowd. I am all for that. It gets me excited just talking about it.
Tokyo Dome.
Yep.
18 stars.
18 stars.
18 stars in the dome.
207, I'm calling. 207.
I mean, personally, on me and Kobe's scale, we don't like breaking it because if it's a 5-star scale, you're not meant to break it. But
Right.
always people break the rules, as we can tell from MJF and the backup Hangman wannabe.
I was talking pounds
but-
instead of kilograms, so it's a conversion issue.
But thank you guys so much for joining us here today. It's been a banger. Thank you to Clark. Thank you to Josh. Thank you to Carty Carnett. And of course, Carter Cornett. It's been a banger of an episode. We'll see you guys tomorrow for the Dynamite review. Later time, 11 p.m. UK, 6 p.m. Eastern, and 3 p.m. Pacific for Throwback Thursday. See you guys. Enjoy your evening. Peace.